If there's one thing we guitar players love, it's practicing techniques. I know you're out there right now running through your scales and arpeggios with your metronomes clicking away, hoping you'll be a few clicks faster a week from now, and that's great. We've got to get our techniques down and learn the fretboard, right? I also know it's easy to fall into the trap of over-practicing techniques and under-practicing improvising and writing solos. Taking those techniques you've been learning and putting them together in ways that are musical and cohesive. I know that because so many people have told me that their attempts at soloing sound like practice exercises. Now, I've been helping players get their soloing together for a long time, and I've come up with a way of practicing that's going to challenge you to get more creative, start connecting concepts all over the neck of the guitar, and if you do this for just a little while every day, it's going to skyrocket your ability to improvise and play solos. So you ready for this? I'm Charlie Long. Let's play some guitar. So what is this exercise? Well, first off, you're going to need 6 pieces of paper. Now you can use index cards if you want. I just cut up a piece of printer paper. So we're going to take 2 of the squares. We're going to write major on one. We're going to write minor on the other. Now these 2, they're going to stay in their own separate pile. We're going to take the other 4 and we're going to write triads, 7th arpeggios, pentatonic scales, and modes of the major scale on those 4. And these are going to stay in their own separate stack. We're also going to need something to solo over, so I've made 2 separate backing tracks. As you might have guessed, 1 major, 1 minor. We're going to keep it really simple, and we're going to play over a major and a minor 1-4-5 chord progression. Let's play minor in the key of A minor and major in the key of E major. Now I'm sure you've already figured it out. We're basically going to be playing a game where we explore connecting 4 different techniques over one of 2 different tonalities. So the technique cards, I actually want you to shuffle and draw separately because I want you to force yourself to come up with ideas in different sequences. The backing tracks we're using today are fairly slow, 84 beats a minute, and we're going to change techniques every time the chord changes. One obvious question, hey Charlie, what if I don't know modes and 7th arpeggios, just pentatonic scales and a few triad shapes? Well, I'll tell you, just use what you know because it's never too early to start trying to get creative with these techniques. We'll even start off easy and use pentatonic scales and triads for the first example. Let's try one. So we're going to get going with a minor backing track. Remember, this is in A minor and it's 1-4-5, so we've got the chords A minor, D minor, E minor, and then back to A minor. So let me go to my technique cards. Looks like we've got triads first and pentatonic scales second. So we'll play triads over A minor, pentatonic scale over D minor, triads over E minor, and then pentatonic scale again over A minor. So here's how my thought process goes. And the first few times through, I'm not worrying too much about phrasing or trying to make up killer licks. I'm just wanting to make connections on the fretboard. So we've got an A minor triad at the 5th position with A, C, and E at fret 7, 5, 5 on the D, G, and B strings. And looking for a connection to D minor pentatonic, I could slide into the A at the 10th fret of the B string. And then it would be an easy transition to D minor pentatonic box 1 here at the 10th fret. We could play a pentatonic passage on the D, G, B, and E strings and finish by sliding into the D at the 15th fret of the B string. And now we've got easy access to this E minor triad shape, the same shape that we used for A minor, but now we're up at the 12th fret. And we could descend through that shape with G and E at frets 15 and 12 on the high E, B and G at frets 12 of the B and G string, and then slide into the E at the 14th fret of the D string. And now we're back to our A minor chord where we've got A minor pentatonic pattern 4 here at the 12th position. Let's ascend through that starting at the A at the 12th fret of the A string. When we get to the G at the 15th fret of the high E, let's slide into the A at the 17th fret and descend through pattern 5 of A minor pentatonic to the A at the 14th fret of the G string. And we're going to finish our passage by sliding from the G at fret 17 of the D string into the A at fret 19. Now right now, I'm not trying to be overly clever. We're just looking to connect some ideas. The only phrasing I'm going to use are the slides that we do and a little bit of vibrato. And let's hear that whole thing over our backing track. Okay, not bad. We're soloing. Not trying to do anything fancy yet, but we're making connections on the fretboard. We're getting the sound of the backing track and the concepts that we're using in our ears. And that is going to kick our brain into creative mode, and we're going to start hearing more melodies. When I practice this way, and it is my favorite way of practicing, once I've got this basic framework, then I start to push myself to be more expressive with my phrasing and get a little more adventurous. Now, we're still not going to do anything crazy complicated, but let's jump things up a level. We're going to take the A minor inversions on the first 3 strings, and we're going to play notes from those inversions on just the E and B string. And we're going to climb the fretboard like this. We've got A minor at the 5th fret, 8th fret, 12th fret, 17th fret. And we play it with the right timing, and we're going to have space to add an expressive bend up to the C at the 20th fret. Now that's a nice sounding phrase. Now we're in that 17th position. D minor pentatonic pattern 4 is sitting right here. So how about a little stair step pattern that descends to the D at the 17th fret of the A string? Now we've got an E minor triad shape starting with the E at fret 19. We play up to the B at the fret 19 of the high E. Now here's where I'd let my ear take over and create a little melody of C at fret 20, go back to B at fret 19, and then bend the C up a whole step to D with some vibrato. And now we're back to the A minor chord, and we can play sort of a Joe Bonamassa-ish descending pentatonic pattern in groupings of 5 and 6 notes. And we finish that phrase by playing C, D, and E at frets 15, 17, and 19 of the A string. That E, it's a chord tone of A minor, so it's a good solid resolution for the A minor chord that's coming back around and starting the cycle over. And we'd be in great shape to start with a new set of ideas. But let's hear what we just came up with over our track. So that's already sounding more fluid, the phrasing is more expressive and natural sounding, and I just keep building on that, pushing myself to polish the phrasing, the timing, and trying to make the rhythms of the phrases more interesting. So let's try out some major ideas, and we're going to add the other 2 technique concepts, which were 7th arpeggios and all the notes of the major scale. We're playing over a 1-4-5 in E major now, so the chords E, A, B, and back to E. And here's the order we're going to play our techniques in. Over this first E, we're going to play major scale ideas. And a little trick I love to use is to play 6-note shapes on 2 strings. So we're going to play frets 16, 14, and 12 on both the E and B strings. That's G sharp, F sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp, and B. And then we're going to drop to the 9th position, and we're going to play frets 12, 11, and 9 on both the E and B strings. Those notes are E, D sharp, C sharp, B, A, and G sharp. Over the A chord, I might start with one of my favorite A major 7 shapes. It's up at the 12th fret. So we had G sharp and E at fret 16 and 12 of the E string. We got C sharp and A at the 14th fret of the B and G strings. We got G sharp at fret 13 of the G string, E at fret 14 of the D string, C sharp and A at fret 16 and 12 of our A string, and then G sharp and E at fret 16 and 12 of the low E. Cool shape. Over the B chord, let's jump to the 16th position, and we're going to play pattern 5 of B major pentatonic. Over the E chord, we can combine 2 triad shapes. We've got this one at the 12th position, and this one at the 16th position. So there's our initial framework. I'm going to play these ideas over the backing track in a very clinical way just to put the pieces together. Have a listen. Okay, so that was really stiff and it sounded like an exercise. But remember, we're just sort of brainstorming at this point and getting our bearings on the fretboard. Let's refine things a bit and make this sound much more natural and alive. How about this over our E major chord? We're going to change the direction of the notes we play of the first 9 notes. Rather than descending, we're going to ascend on each string. Also, when we get to that third sequence of 3 notes where you're changing the rhythm, we're going to go to the high E, we're going to add a bend, and then again we're going to add a little speed. Now over the A chord, we're going to add the F sharp on the high E string to our A major 7 arpeggio. We'll change the sequencing a little bit. We're going to play back and forth between G sharp and the A note, which is the major 7 and the root. Kind of accentuating that major 7 in there. It sounds really nice. We're going to play a bluesy lick on just a couple of strings over the B chord. And we're going to use one of my favorite triad tricks when we get back to that E. I'm going to add the 2nd or F sharp to the triad. Now the notes of the E major triad would be E, G sharp, and B, or the 1, the 3, and the 5. We're going to add in the 2nd, that F sharp, as we ascend. And we're going to ascend all the way to the B at the 19th fret of the high E string. And then we're going to play A and G sharp at frets 17 and 16. Now A is the 4th of E. I like to add that note to the triad when we descend. We've got E at the 17th fret of the B string, B at the 16th fret of the G string, and then we're going to have A and G sharp again at frets 19 and 18 of our D string. Let's hear that whole thing over our track. Okay, that's way more lyrical, smooth, and melodic. And once again, I just keep refining it from there. How? Start by moving around to different spots on the neck. Use different inversions of the triads or the 7th arpeggios. Use all 5 of the pentatonic boxes. Don't get stuck in one pattern. Start your scale runs on strings other than the high or low E. Start your scale runs on notes other than the root. Try adding more speed in a couple of spots to ramp up the excitement. Keep switching up the phrasing. Use different bends, slides. Use your whammy bar if you've got one. Mix up the rhythmic subdivisions. You start working through this stuff, you realize that the options really are unlimited. The whole idea is just get in there and play around and keep challenging yourself to be more and more creative. Once you've got your framework in that initial stiff kind of clinical way, step back from the technical side. Listen to the music in your head. Really pay attention to the melodies that you're hearing. Try to get them to come out through your fingers. I promise you, if you do this drill just 15 minutes a day, your ability to come up with solo ideas and connect the fretboard, it's going to improve exponentially. Now go check out this video for lots of ideas for soloing over a great set of chord changes.